for XRP. In this video, I want to talk about why this is specifically so important for the XRP ledger, despite this being a bill focused on stablecoins. I think the whole stablecoin narrative has caused a lot of people to forget exactly why these are absolutely critical to the success of XRP over the long run. In this video, I want to talk about why XRP is going to be the biggest winner from all of this, as well as get into a timeline for the XRP ETFs. Make sure you stick around for that. You are not going to want to miss it. Your support means so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to like these videos and subscribe to the channel. These two simple things really do help me out so much. Also, if you have any good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange uphold down in the description of this video. With that said, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. I'm going to start out this video and talk about some of the most noteworthy things from the Genius Act, and this is something that's been in the works for a while, and honestly, I didn't talk much about it because they change these things so often. They make so many last-minute edits. I was like, just pass the bill, and then we'll take a look at this thing. So one of the most interesting things noted in the Genius Act is this note right here. The Treasury may block non-compliant foreign stablecoins. Now, in my opinion, you might as well just write Tether right on that, because that, to me, seems like a direct shot at Tether in terms of them already saying that Tether is a non-compliant stablecoin, them specifically talking about foreign stablecoins being Tether, and last of all, giving the Treasury the authority to actually go out and block these stablecoin issuers from operating in the United States market. Now, in my opinion, that's the most surprising thing I've seen in here. Now, for some people, you're probably saying, hey, why is that surprising? We always knew Tether was going to be shut out. Well, to be honest, it looked like Tether was going to be shut out for a while, and then you had a lot of people very close to Tether getting involved in the Trump administration, and it was like, all right, well, they're now going to work to save Tether. Who knows? But it looks like this looks like an attempt to double down on keeping Tether out of the market. Now, that obviously opens the door wide open for RLUSD. USDC is now issued on the XRP ledger. RLUSD, clearly Ripple stablecoin, the two most compliant stablecoins out there, the ones that these financial institutions are actually going to be using, operating on the XRP ledger. Now, if we just take a look at stablecoin growth right now, we can see that stablecoin growth is going parabolic. I've talked about this a couple times on the channel. This is the beginning of something that is going to revolutionize money. Right now, we are seeing the very early stages of the tokenization of fiat currency. It's not going to stop there. It's going to be bonds. It's going to be derivatives. It's going to be all these different forms of value issued natively on chain. And that's because the economics and the actual utility of having a tokenized currency, bond, piece of debt, the tokenization of it allows it to be dramatically more useful. Right now, stable coins have already surpassed the total volume being done by people like Visa, people like PayPal. The fact that stable coins were created in an unregulated market and are already surpassing the volumes associated with these massive legacy companies that have been around for 25 years is nothing short of revolutionary. It's extraordinary. And we're only going to continue to see this. We are seeing this level of transactions. We are seeing this level of supply without any proper regulations to actually let real businesses get involved and use these things. Just imagine how parabolic this growth is going to get, and really how early we are. We are in the age right now prior to rules and regulations being created for the internet. That's like the 1998 era, 2000 era. Right now, we just saw that historic moment where one small piece of legislation was crafted to allow a killer use case of cryptocurrency to take off, the tokenization of currency. Now, a lot of people are probably listening to this saying, well, how is this that good for XRP, right? This is good for stablecoins, but stablecoins are all over the place. Well, I want to get a little bit into how the XRP ledger is designed now, because I think it's really going to open your eyes to why XRP benefits from this so massively. If you take a look at why the XRP ledger was created in the first place, it was really created to be a decentralized clearinghouse. XRP is the liquidity for that clearinghouse. The XRP ledger was the first blockchain to support tokenization, foreseeing that a lot of these different forms of value were going to exist in a digital world, and also foreseeing that not everything was going to be denominated in XRP or Bitcoin, right? It wasn't going to be down with the banks. It wasn't going to be the destruction of government. It's not going to be No more debt, no more bonds, no more equities, right? That's what the Bitcoiners believe. And that's why Bitcoin is not going to benefit from these stable coins really at all. But the XRP ledger took a much different approach. It was like, well, all these things are going to continue to exist. We just want more efficient rails and better pieces of utility and plumbing to be able to move this value around, to clear it, to transform it from one form of value to another. So the XRP ledger was built with tokenization in mind. But the problem you always ran into is, okay, well, now you have all these different forms of tokenized value. You still are in a system where no one trusts each other and there's no liquidity between all these different assets, right? You have to create individual liquidity pairs between everything. But what if you had one central piece of liquidity, one asset that was neutral and decentralized that everything was liquid to? This is where XRP comes to the equation. Not only do you get the efficiency of being able to tokenize all these different assets and give them multiple different avenues for utility outside their primary use case, but now suddenly you have the capability to have instant decentralized liquidity, auto-bridging them all together, creating one seamless experience, a decentralized financial clearinghouse built directly into the internet. That's what the XRP ledger has to offer. And it was built with the understanding that we're not going to be in a Bitcoin-only world, right? Fiat currencies are going to become tokenized, and that's exactly what the XRP ledger was built for. So everything we're watching right now is proof Ripple has been right from the start, right? Stablecoins are going to exist. Governments are not going to go away. They're going to regulate this stuff. This is always how Ripple saw the future, and that's why the XRP ledger was designed the way it was. It was for these regulations coming in and allowing things like stablecoins or issued assets to prosper. Like I said before, the XRP ledger was created for these issued assets.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI. I'm going to show you.
Now, you're probably also wondering, well, there's a lot of different blockchains out there, right? You have Bitcoin and Ethereum, both ahead of XRP in terms of market cap. I want to share with you something else extremely interesting. Earlier today, we actually had one of the creators of Solana coming out and pointing out something very interesting. And that's the fact that most likely you are not going to need chains to have infinite smart contracts. Solana does have infinite smart contracts, so does Ethereum. Let me read what he said and let me break it down. It's pretty technical. Seems logical, but it's also wrong. There is no point to multiple L2s. If a single L2 can handle parallel execution, then it can use up all the blob space and run every use case. What's more is that there aren't infinite useful smart contracts, let alone execution environments. There are only like 6 smart contracts that matter. There just isn't infinite need for infinite developer opportunity. In fact, any developer opportunity or optionality that increases business risk is actually a net negative, like the ERC20 interface. Now, what's super interesting about this is this goes to confirm another thing that Ripple and the XRP ledger have been saying forever. You don't need to have full smart contracts on a chain, because ultimately that's really just for testing. That's only for saying, okay, well, we don't really know what the good smart contracts are, so let's bunch and see which one wins. Yes, it's useful to be able to do that, but that's something that should be done in a test environment, not a main chain. The XRP ledger is one of the few blockchains that said, we're not going to jam 1 million smart contracts into this thing right off the bat. Let's figure out which smart contracts are important, like a smart contract for a DEX. Let's figure out which smart contracts go away. Let's figure out which smart contracts need to be implemented, which ones don't. Let's not make it so infinite amount of smart contracts can be implemented on a chain, clogging up everything and killing its utility. Ethereum and Solana have already gone down that path. They've already made the wrong choice. They added infinite amounts of smart contracts to be issued on the chain, clogging everything up, making it so that the chain likely is not ready for a production level environment. Large financial institutions don't want to have the risk of accidentally interacting with a malicious smart contract. It doesn't make any sense for them to take that risk. This is just another thing that the people behind the XRP ledger got right from the very early days that is going to make it one of the primary places financial institutions want to interact with things like these stablecoins. So Bitcoin, top crypto asset, has nothing to do with stablecoins. Ethereum, too slow, too expensive, because it already went down this infinite smart contract route that made the entire chain slow and unusable. Solana fell down the same path. Solana did the same exact thing, infinite smart contracts. Then you have the XRP ledger. And what you can see is there's not a lot of competition to really command and dominate this new era of issued currency on chain. The XRP ledger is positioned perfectly to win the vast majority of this volume, and we haven't even gotten into Ripple's relationships with the large banking institutions that are going to be issuing the vast majority of the value that's going to come on chain. With that said, though, because I went a little longer than I wanted on that, I want to quickly break down the XRP ETF situation. It looks like after a couple delays, we're expecting the SEC's final deadlines on these ETFs to come out in October. Now, I've been saying for a while on this channel, don't get your hopes up for anything happening early summer. It's going to be late summer to the fall. That seems to be exactly what's going on. There's going to be XRP ETFs. Those are going to roll in. But the idea that they were going to happen early summer was always a little bit far-fetched for me. It's going to take them a while to get comfortable with everything. They just got the pricing data. They just got the CME to list the XRP futures to validate the pricing data. And then they put.
It's always something. It's always a fucking excuse as to why the fuck they do. Why is it not a fucking $1,000 worth of XRP yet? Because they're controlling that shit, bro. There's too many of us that have that shit, so trying to make us get rid of that shit. So not gonna happen. I'm holding it to the moon XRP, motherfucker. Cheers.